As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Dimitri and JC from Lost in Kyiv to the podcast. Lost in Kyiv will release their new album, We're All Going to Be Fine, this Friday on Pelagic Records. The guys discuss the post-rock scene in France, the prophetic nature of persona and the rise of AI, creating a heavier album with We're All Going to Be Fine, recording live, and so much more. This was a wonderful conversation. I'm a huge fan of Lost in Kyiv, and We're All Going to Be Fine is a phenomenal next step for the band. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of As the Story Grows. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. If I look at my current download numbers, there seems to be a lot of new people listening. So thanks for checking out the podcast. Thanks for listening. If you aren't subscribed, I would love it if you subscribe to the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. You can find links in our show notes or at asthestorygrows.com for our mailing list, our Discord server, and our Patreon page, where $1 a month will get you early access to every episode. Enjoy today's conversation with Dimitri and JC from Lost in Kyiv.
In the US, you have a lot of people who listen to post-rock music?
I don't know. I mean, the scene's not dead. So, and there's a lot of bands. I asked today the episode aired, but like 2 weeks ago, I talked to your label mate, Jacob from Oh Hiroshima, and asked about like post-rock in Sweden. And he said, you know, I don't know if the scene is growing or if it's huge, but post-rock bands are still happening.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm good, and you? Nice to meet you, Ren.
Nice to meet you too. It's awesome to have you here. We were just talking about post-rock in the United States, and I was saying, you know, the scene's not dead. I don't know if it's growing, but I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, we're in a resurgence. Sometimes I feel like maybe not.
Yeah. You got the post festival. I don't know. It's Indianapolis, or if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So
that's a pretty cool event every year. But maybe one more. I don't know. Bigger festival of post rock might be cool. I don't know, because Indianapolis it's not perhaps the best spot, you know, to travel, or I don't know. But still, it's pretty cool that you have that.
Yeah. What's kind of the post-rock scene like in France?
I think we have some cool bands, but you know, it's I would have the same answer. It's not dead, but it's not crazy. This is post-rock. This is like a kind of underground music, so you can't really know. People are curious, so that's cool.
Yeah,
and it's also like I don't know. I think it's worldwide, but I mean like classical post-rock, and this is just to explain why. Like our new album is getting a little bit away from more classical post-rock. I think, I don't want to be mean, but I think it's becoming like a middle-aged middle-aged guy music. Come on. It's like the post-rock fan are more like between 40, sometimes 60 years old. So I don't know, like in France, for example, it's not a big scene of post-rock, but still you have some very interesting bands, like this is guys from north of Frankfurt of Messiah that just released like a pretty cool new album, because I think it's a perfect mix of classic post-rock, and on the other hand, they just added some inside, some touch of screamo, but it's not cliche in either way. So I think it's a very smart album. But otherwise, the French scene, wow, that's not like in Belgium or Germany, where it's more active in post-rock, I guess.
We have also Bruit.
I forgot the Bruit, of course.
Yeah. Man, that's rough to hear you say it's like an old middle-aged genre. As a person in their 40s, I'm like, that's tough. And I did, like, at the beginning of the year, there's a band in DC called Tone who's like a big local post-rock band. And yeah, I think everybody was like 50, 40, 60 in the audience, and so was the band.
Yeah, like us. Yeah.
I'm 41. I'm a tourist. I can say that.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yep. It's good times. Let's kind of go back before we kind of talk about the band and the new record. I'm curious, like, what got you each into music, and kind of how did you discover? I mean, we're talking about post-rock, so how did you discover post-rock?
Oh,
well, to start, I would start because I've been, let's say, quite late into post-rock and rock music in general, because I mean between 16 to almost 30 years old, I would say, like, I was more into electronic music. I used to be a DJ. I used to produce some, clubbing stuff or whatever. And when I was a student, I was a member of an art association or whatever, and there was like this, like little bit like behind you, Brian, a bass that was hanging on a wall, and nobody claimed that bass. So one of these, I was like, okay, fuck that, it's going to be mine. And then I started to play the bass, to discover a new thing, like discovering some more metal stuff, like early Gojira album, and I think that leads me to post-rock. Was I don't think you're going to know that, because like it's a French band that doesn't exist anymore. It's called Guns of Brixton, and it was a mix of dub and post-rock, post-hardcore, whatever. And it was like a big slap in the face for me, and just I started to go to more rock show, to dig post-rock, and well, it was become obvious to me that it was a perfect bridge between rock and more electronic stuff, like because it was not only about clubbing, it was also being some more ambient stuff like Balls of Canada, or more old school stuff, like we are a big fan of Vangelis and stuff like that. So definitely post-rock to me was a crush and a bridge between all my influence. So I went into post-rock pretty late. I think Jim is more a rocker from you were born, Dim.
But for me, I discovered like when I was in high school. A friend of mine make me listen to If the Streets Could Talk, Isis, Neurosis, stuff like that. But I really discovered when I made the song for Lost in Kyiv, like 12 years ago, something like that. And I joined this band as a song guy this time. And I was touring with the guys, and I already played the guitar, so I learned the song, and then I get into the project with the album Nuit Noire, and for me that was the beginning of listening post-rock music, but not at home. Listening post-rock music in festival with band we are playing. So this is for me that was the way to go into the post-rock world.
As the band has kind of evolved and grown and changed, like how has that songwriting kind of experimentation in the sound changed? Like listening back through the discography, there's a lot of stuff on Rupture that's really creative and expansive.
Oh, thanks. I use the Melee Walrus audio. I don't know if you see that pink pedal with a joystick on it. And maybe there is stuff from this pedal, and also since Rupture, I use the Eventide H9 with a lot of big space reverb, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I really love this pedal because you can do pretty anything you want, but I like to have some maybe 5 or 6 presets, then I can use on different tracks, and not go like everywhere. I use only this 6 effects since Rupture.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true that Jim is pretty, he stick to his configuration, and I think this is clearly a part of the signature of Lost in Kyiv, because like myself and Max, who is not there today, but with the other guitarist and playing also the synths, we tend to be great geek regarding like a pedal, guitars, bass, or whatever. And for every album, maybe a little bit, for this one it was actually the same, but we tend to come at the studio with new guitars, new pedals, new everything each time. And it makes our sound engineers, Amaury Sauvé, really crazy. Like, come on. And this is the opposite. He came to the studio and start to play. And Amaury, our sound engineer, said, "Okay, fine, it's perfect." Okay. And for Maxime and myself, it's like, okay, so everything changed since last time, and we spent like 2 hours to make sure that it sounds correctly. So I don't know if we can say that this balance of Dimitri consistence and crazy sound in between, how with Maxime we like to try perhaps new things and new terms can explain the sound signature of Lost in Kyiv, and why you mentioned that in Rupture and in the we're going to be fine the new album, that you find something special. But I think it's this balance, and I mean, beyond this fun facts or whatever we can call that, it's also the use of the synth texture that makes our sound signature. I would say it was at the beginning, it was in Nuit Noire, but we definitely started to experiment with synths. It could be like lead synths or bass synths in Persona. I would say, like, in Persona, it was perhaps the crazy era of synthesizer or whatever. But I think like Rupture and even more, and we are going to be fine. We definitely decided to only use machine and synths or whatever that is not guitars, only when we cannot use a guitar or bass to tell what we want to tell. So I think we are now much mature with the synth texture, and we use the synth texture only if we think it brings something and shape our signature sounds, let's say. So it's a combination of all that, like I don't know. It's not on the delay and reverb. We are not as much as Wall of Sound maybe than Caspian, but it's much more about being curious to experiment and use synths when it's
right, appropriate. Yeah. I'm curious about Persona. I don't know if you guys think about your previous releases a lot, but it was kind of fascinating to listen to that record this morning, especially given the rise of AI and technology is like replacing people. Who came up and how did the band come up with the concept for that album? And have you thought about like that record kind of looking backwards and where the world has come?
Yeah, it was the drummer before Jeremy, who we talk about IA and since a very long time now, and we saw all that coming slowly, but already there. Like the subject of this album was for us something we really want to dig about. Because it's there, and it was actually there at this time. So we are more and more in this area of intelligent computing and society work by machines. So that was the old drummer, and we were very inspired, and that's the reason why we also wanted to put a lot of textures and synths in this album. And in the mixing, sometimes the synths are heavier than the guitar bass, because we wanted to have this synthetic kind of view, I think.
Yeah, at this time, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're also big fans of, Mr. Robot and all this, this stuff linked to AI. And so we're all, big fans of sort of cyberpunk stuff. I mentioned Vangelis. So, the fact that the society was evolving, perhaps not in the good way, the fact that we have been, brain fucked with Mr. Robot and all that stuff, the fact that we started to become crazy about synthetic textures. And, as Dimitri mentioned, that Johan, our former drummer and founder of Lost In Kyiv, had this crazy idea, of going into the exploration of AI, the exploration of a robotic society, a cyber society, and how it can be a major issue. But I think it's a combination of all that. But you're right. I was thinking about the same thing than you, like a couple of months ago or weeks ago. I was also discussing with my mom regarding this topic, and she was like, do you realize that when you wrote Persona, like a couple of years ago, the society will be like your album? It's crazy. Definitely that you're right. So yeah. Perhaps this is why we with the album after, we decided to stop becoming like I don't know, prophet or forecaster or whatever, for the great good.
Yeah. With this album, you guys have shifted and changed the spelling of the band name. What led to that decision? There's a quote that it was more authentic or more like you, but what led to that decision?
Well, two things with that. First of all, it was not an easy decision to make, because it has been asked by a lot of people for now a couple of years, as you may imagine. And at the beginning, we were like, well, we are not doing, every art is politic. That's not the point. But the topic of our music is not really focused on politics. So we wanted to perhaps, and it was not the good choice, but we wanted perhaps to stay away from that. But at the end, this tragedy, because it is a tragedy, this war is nothing evolved, and we have also. We really needed to have a lot of, respect, to show respect and to show support to people in Ukraine, because due to our name, we have a lot of fans in Ukraine. So without this name, maybe we would have some fun in Ukraine, but not that much. So we decided that it's time to show some support and some respect than changing the spelling. And on the other hand, the fact that this new album is also like a rupture, let's say, regarding the sound, and it's also the impact of having our new drummer Jeremy, and from what we are now listening, so some metalcore or some more heavy stuff, perhaps. We decided that it's time for a change. So this new lineup, it's not like a total change, but we drift a little in a new kind of sound. And the fact that we decided that it's time to be, more engaged and to show respect to the world, let's say, by this name change. It was definitely the right moment. So it's not just something to say cool things to interviews or whatever. It was definitely a heavy decision that was driven by this change in style, by Jeremy taking the seat under the drums, and by the fact that common fact that it's time to show respect to people in Kyiv and in Ukraine.
Nice. Yeah, we're all going to be fine. You've alluded to the change in this record. I think especially coming out of Rupture, which was very textured and I think had a lot more ambient elements to it. I mean, this record almost plays like a post-metal record. It's very heavy, while still being textured and layered. Even before Jeremy joins the band, or maybe because he joined the band, was there always this drive to go heavier and want to do something bigger?
This is something who went slowly because for the moment, Maxime, the other guitarist, wanted something softer, maybe with no heavy guitars or stuff like that. But that was before, really, because when we begin to play with Jeremy, Maxime wanted to take a baritone guitar and to play some very heavy stuff, and he began to listen a lot of metal bands, and it was something we always wanted to do. And it was a perfect occasion with Jeremy to try to dig into this chemistry with Jeremy, you know.
The album's called We're All Going to Be Fine. What led to that title? And from the press release, it talks about, wanting to do something more personal and not kind of big themed this go around. But what led to that title?
Oh, it's a bit complicated. Some of us have lost some people, like family, and Nuinoir already talk about when you lose someone, and we doesn't want to go on this subject. We wanted to speak some things goes into your mind, and you have some tracks like Mantra, and We Are All Going to Be Fine can be a mantra, and can be ironic, because if you want to believe it, you can, but if you don't believe we are all going to be fine, maybe you can I don't know how to say, I'm sorry because of my English. But this is something with many senses, and this is for very personal reason, and also for the human mind and psychological structure of mind.
And it's also a lot about emotions also, because when you've been asked, hey, how are you today? Well, I'm fine. Come on, even if you don't feel fine. So the fact, it's interesting that Dimitri mentioned mantra, because I think this track is very powerful regarding what we want to mean. I explain why, because like, for example, I was kidding about, hey, how are you? I'm fine even if I'm not. But, some people can express emotion. Some people can call for help. So people can, see like a psychotherapist or whatever. But on the other hand, some people can have, perhaps, and I am this kind of people, have trouble to express their emotions, and needs perhaps to be pushed, or to have like a special click to feel something, to express something, to share something. And I think that Mantra is the perfect track, beyond the name of Mantra, to express that, especially because of the middle part of the track. I don't know if you have the track in mind, but in the middle of Mantra there is this kind of big electronic only part that felt to me really stressful.
Was this album recorded live, like together as a band? It says it was recorded live. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes, it's correct. Like, in the same studio for Rupture, exactly the same studio, same configuration, because it's live, but you can separate with glasses, big glasses, so the sound doesn't go like in my guitar cabin. When I play, the sound from my amp doesn't go into the mic drums, for example. So we have big glasses, we can cut the sound like that, and we can see, we can watch us together to play, like live. And sometimes you can cheat if you don't realize a good take, but the band take was really cool. You can you can cheat and take another one and put it on the. But that's not the point. The point is to play live and to have some live energy.
Yeah, which is cool because I don't think there's many bands in any genre of music who do that now, and especially in post rock, I'm sure. But yeah, capturing that live energy. How much preparation goes into being ready for the studio to play together live like that?
Yeah, it's a lot of preparation because when you record live, you have to play the same thing. So at the beginning, you have to decompose all the track to name all the different step of the song. You have to choose one climax, and this is a scale. Maybe you have a 5 power scale different, and you have to say, this is my climax, this is a bit less, this is very smooth. And we put some graphics on the paper before to record any tracks. We have to go to school like that, if I can say, and to conceptualize all the tracks. And then when you record live, I think it's a great thing when you have to play live after in gigs, because it's very smooth and it's very natural when you have recorded live.
So, well, interesting question, because this is the second album that is recording under that process. Mm-hmm. And we love it now. I think this is what we were discussing about. But to be very honest, I was very unhappy with this to try this for Rupture. For the first, I had really heavy doubt regarding this recording process for the music we are doing. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, whatever, let's try, we'll see. But I don't think this fits our music. And the fact that Amaury in the Apiary studio he has a B plan in case that we were pretty all unhappy of that. We can do, classic recording. But honestly, at the end, I was wrong. This is why I think we did the same for the second album, because this is the best of both worlds. So that means that you have the energy of the band. You become a better musician and perhaps a better human also, because Amaury, our sound engineer, is very skillful to push you on your limits. I mean, like as a musician, but sometimes as a human being. So it's not easy. And the fact that you have all the benefits of modern recording. So that means that fine, it's live, but it's not live like in 1970, So that means that you can still select the best track, do some some post-production tricks. So it's the best of both worlds, definitely. Yeah. And the best of that is, I know, like, we are going to, when the album is done, when you have to tour, because it's so fun, it's the fun part of the job, you are ready to play your album. Yeah. And it is a big difference, because when you record an album on a classic process, there is a lot of modification, a lot of things, a lot of production, cool stuff, maybe. But at the end,
you can write like 6 guitars and stuff like that, and when you have to play live, it's what I'm doing now.
And even regarding the muscular memory or the memory by itself, you come back at your place and you're like, okay, I need to learn how to play my album. What the hell? And when you are recording in this kind of live process, because it's live process, even there is some post-production tricks, of course. You know how to play your album, you feel the energy, and you already know how to react with your bandmates. So definitely I was wrong. It's important to say too, and it's a really interesting recording process, even for post-rock.
Speaking of touring, album's out June 19th. That's just over 2 weeks away. What's the plan for playing shows and touring once this album's out?
Wow, we begin to have some gigs. What we can tell for now is like we go to UK in August for Arctangent Festival, and also a gig in London. And maybe we are going to China in September.
No.
Yeah, and before going to China, there is also a big event, because the Pelagic Fest.
We have a kind of a big tour from November to December, but it's in Europe.
Cool. And maybe China, as Dimitri said, like end of September.